Okay, so this is the Daf 73 of Avodah. So there are those who say that Rabbi Bar Rav Huna himself drank from a knish kanin. So that's like a straw. Okay, so wine used for a libation is forbidden. And this is the Mishnah now, I'm sorry. Wine used for a libation is forbidden, and any amount of it renders other wine forbidden if they are mixed together. So wine used for a libation that became mixed with wine or water that was used for an idolatrous libation that became mixed with ordinary water renders the mixture forbidden with any amount of the forbidden wine or water. But wine used for libation that became mixed with water, or water used for a libation that became mixed with wine, renders the mixture forbidden only if the forbidden liquid is sufficient to impart flavor to the mixture. That is, for the wine to flavor the water, or for the water to dilute the wine to an extent that can be tasted. So this is the principle. A substance in contact with the same type of substance renders the mixture forbidden with any amount of the forbidden substance. But a substance in contact with a different type of substance renders the mixture forbidden only in a case where it imparts flavor. The Gemara now says, when Rav Dimi came from Eretz Yisrael to Babylonia, he reported that Rabbi Yochanan says, in the case of one who pours wine used for a libation from a barrel into a wine cistern, even if he does this all day long, the forbidden wine is nullified little by little upon contact with the wine in the cistern, and the wine is consequently permitted. So, the Gemara raised an objection to the halacha reported by Rav Dimi, from which we learned in the Mishnah. Wine used for libation is forbidden, and any amount of it renders other wine forbidden. What, is it not referring to a case where the forbidden substance fell into the permitted substance, as in the case of Rav Dimi's statement? The Gemara rejects this. No, it is referring to a case where the permitted substance fell into the forbidden substance. The Gemara suggests, come in here a further objection to the halacha reported by Rav Dimi from the continuation of the Mishnah. Wine that became mixed with water renders the mixture forbidden if it is sufficient to impart flavor to it. So what, is it not referring to a case where the forbidden wine fell into permitted water? And contrary to Rav Dimi's statement, the wine is not nullified, but instead renders the mixture forbidden the moment there is sufficient amount of it to impart flavor. So the Gemara answers no, it is referring to a case where the permitted wine fell into forbidden water, and as long as the water influences the flavor of the wine, it is forbidden. The Gemara challenges, and from the fact that the first clause is referring to forbidden water by inference, the latter clause also dealing with forbidden water, and the latter clause teaches water that became mixed with wine renders the mixture forbidden in a case where it imparts flavor to it. The Gemara answers that Rav Dimi could have said to you that the entire Mishnah is dealing with permitted substances falling into forbidden substances, and the first clause is dealing with a case where permitted wine fell into forbidden water, while the latter clause is dealing with a case where permitted water fell into forbidden wine. So when Rav Yitzhak Bar Yosef came from Eretz Yisrael to Babylonia, he reported that Rabbi Yochanan says, in the case of one who pours wine used for a libation from a small canteen into a wine cistern, even if he did so all day long, the forbidden wine is nullified little by little in the permitted wine. And this applies specifically to a small canteen whose stream is not significant. But if one pours wine from a barrel whose stream is significant, this does not apply. When Ravin came from Eretz Yisrael to Babylonia, he said that Rabbi Yochanan says in the case of wine used for a libation that fell into a wine cistern, and where a pitcher of water also fell there, one considers the permitted wine as though it is non-existent, and it is not rendered forbidden by the wine used for a libation. And with regard to the rest, that is the wine used for a libation, the volume of the water is greater than the volume of the wine, and nullifies it. So when Rav Shmuel Bar Yehuda came from Eretz Yisrael, he said that Rabbi Yochanan says, the sages taught this only with regard to a case where the pitcher of water fell in first. But if the pitcher of water did not fall in first, the wine used for a libation has found its own type, that is, the wine in the cistern, and been awakened. In other words, the wine used for libation renders the wine in the cistern forbidden, causing the volume of wine that is forbidden to become larger. And the water subsequently falls in, is not sufficient to nullify all the wine. The Gemara comments, there are those who teach this halacha with regard to the Mishnah, which states that wine used for libation that became mixed with permitted wine renders it forbidden with any amount. So Rav Shmuel Bar Yehuda says that Rabbi Yochanan says, the Mishnah taught this only with regard to a case where a pitcher of water did not also fall into the permitted wine. But if a pitcher of water fell there, one considers the permitted wine as though it is non-existent, and it is not rendered forbidden by the wine used for libation. And with regard to the rest, that is the wine used for libation, the volume of water is greater than the volume of the wine and nullifies it. The Gemara asks, what difference is there between one who teaches this about the Mishnah and the one who teaches it about the statement of Ravin? The Gemara explains, the one who teaches it about the Mishnah does not need for the pitcher of water to have fallen in first. In any event, the water nullifies the forbidden wine. But the one who teaches it about the statement of Ravin adds to Ravin's statement, and so he needs the pitcher of water to have fallen in first. So it was stated that in a case of wine used for libation that fell into a wine cistern, and where a pitcher of water also fell there, Hizkiah says, if the volume of water in the wine was increased by the forbidden wine, that is, the forbidden wine fell in last, the mixture is forbidden, because the forbidden wine renders the permitted wine forbidden by the principle of a substance in contact with the same type of substance, and the water does not nullify the forbidden wine. But if the volume of the water in the forbidden wine was increased by the permitted wine, that is, there was a mixture of wine used for libation and water, and the wine used for libation was nullified by the water, and then permitted wine fell into the mixture, in such a case, the permitted wine is not rendered forbidden by the forbidden wine that had already been nullified, and so the entire mixture is permitted. And Rabbi Yochanan says, even if the volume of permitted wine in the water was increased by the forbidden wine, the mixture is permitted. Rabbi Yirmiyah said to Rabbi Zarah, shall we say that Hizkiah and Rabbi Yochanan disagree with regard to the issue that is the subject of dispute between Rabbi Eliezer and the rabbis, meaning the majority? As we learned in the Mishnah, Orla 2:11, in the case of non-sacred leaven in teruma leaven that fell into a non-sacred batch of dough, and neither is this one alone potent enough to cause the dough to become leavened, nor is that one alone potent enough to cause the dough to become leavened, and they combined and caused the dough to become leavened, there is a dispute as to whether this dough has the status of teruma, and is therefore forbidden to non-priest or non-sacred bread. Rabbi Eliezer says, I follow the final element that fell into the dough. If the teruma fell in last, the dough is forbidden to non-priest. And the rabbis say, that's the majority, whether the forbidden item, meaning the teruma, fell in first or whether it fell in last, the dough is not forbidden unless there is enough of the forbidden leaven alone to cause the dough to become leavened. So apparently Hizkiah holds, in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer, that if the forbidden substance is mixed in last, the mixture is rendered forbidden. And Rabbi Yochanan holds, in accordance with the opinion of the rabbis, that if the amount of the forbidden substance is not sufficient in and of itself to render the mixture forbidden, the mixture is permitted. The Gemara responds, and how can you understand that this is the same dispute? But doesn't Abaye say, Rabbi Eliezer taught that the mixture is permitted when the permitted leaven fell in last only in a case where one first removed the forbidden leaven before the permitted leaven fell into the dough and made it rise. But if one did not first remove the forbidden leaven, the dough is forbidden even if the permitted leaven fell in last. According to Abaye's interpretation, in accordance with whose opinion does Hizkiah state this ruling? With regard to a mixture of forbidden wine, and permitted water, that if the forbidden wine was mixed in last, the mixture is forbidden. According to the rabbis, the mixture should be permitted in any event, as there is not enough forbidden wine to render the mixture forbidden. And according to Rabbi Eliezer, even if the permitted wine was mixed in last, the mixture should be forbidden, as the forbidden wine was not removed. So rather here, Hizkiah and Rabbi Yochanan disagree concerning the principle that with regard to a mixture of forbidden substance and a permitted substance of the same type, and a permitted substance of a different type, one considers the permitted substance of the same type as though it were non-existent, so that the substance of the other type can nullify the forbidden substance. Chizkiah is not of the opinion that one considers it as though it were non-existent, whereas Rabbi Yochanan is of the opinion that one considers it as though it were non-existent, and so he maintains that in any event the water nullifies the forbidden wine, and the permitted wine in the mixture is disregarded. The Gemara asks, and is Rabbi Yochanan of the opinion that one considers the permitted substance the same type as though it were non-existent? But didn't Rabbi Asi ask Rabbi Yochanan the following question? If one had 2 cups of wine, and one non-sacred and one of teruma, and he diluted them with water and mixed them together, and there is sufficient water in each of the cups to nullify the teruma wine, what is the halacha? Is the non-sacred wine, which is the same type of substance as the teruma wine, considered to be non-existent, and the water in the mixture nullifies the teruma wine? Or does the teruma wine render the non-sacred wine forbidden, and the water in both cups is insufficient to nullify the combined wine? And Rabbi Yochanan did not resolve the dilemma for him, indicating that he did not have a set opinion on the matter. The Gemara answers, initially he did not resolve the dilemma for him, but ultimately he resolved for him that the permitted substance of the same type is considered as though it were non-existent. It was also stated that this was Rabbi Yochanan's ultimate opinion, as Rabbi Ami says that Rabbi Yochanan says, and some say that it was Rabbi Asi who says that Rabbi Yochanan says, if one had 2 cups of wine, one non-sacred and one teruma, and he diluted them with water and mixed them together, and there is sufficient water in each of the cups to nullify the teruma wine, one considers the permitted wine as though it were non-existent. As for the rest, the teruma wine, the volume of the water is greater than the volume of the wine and nullifies it. The Mishnah states that this is the principle. A substance in contact with the same type of substance renders the mixture forbidden with any amount of the forbidden substance, but a substance in contact with a different type of substance renders the mixture forbidden only in a case where it imparts flavor to it. The Gemara presents an Amoric dispute. From the Gemara, the rabbis from the Gemara, with regard to this principle. So Rav and Shmuel both say with regard to any food forbidden by the Torah that becomes mixed with permitted food, if the permitted food is of its own type, then even any amount of the forbidden substance renders the entire mixture forbidden. If the forbidden food is mixed with any other type of substance, then the mixture becomes forbidden only in a case where there is enough of the forbidden food to impart flavor to the mixture. According to Rav and Shmuel, what is added by the statement in the Mishnah? This is the principle. This is stated to include any food forbidden by the Torah, and not only wine used for a libation. So Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish both say with regard to any food forbidden by the Torah that falls into a mixture, whether of its own type of food or another type of food, the mixture is forbidden in a case where there is enough of the forbidden item to impart flavor to the mixture. This is the halacha except for the cases of untithed produce and wine used for a libation, which renders a mixture of their own type of food forbidden in a case where any amount of the forbidden food was mixed with the permitted food. But if they are mixed with another type of substance, the mixture is forbidden only in a case where it imparts flavor to it. And according to this opinion, the statement in the Mishnah, this is the principle, is stated to include the case of untithed produce, which is not mentioned in the Mishnah explicitly. It is taught in a Braita in accordance with the opinion of Rav and Shmuel, and it is taught in another Braita in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish. The Gemara elaborates, it is taught in a Braita in accordance with the opinion of Rav and Shmuel with regard to any food forbidden by the Torah that becomes mixed with a permitted food, in a case where the permitted food is of its own type, then even any amount of the forbidden substance renders the entire mixture forbidden. But in a case where the forbidden food was mixed with another type of substance, then the mixture becomes forbidden only in a case where there is enough of the forbidden item to impart flavor to the mixture. It is taught in another Braita in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish with regard to any food forbidden by the Torah that falls into a mixture, whether of its own type of food or of another type of food. The mixture is forbidden in a case where there is enough of the forbidden food to impart flavor to the mixture. This is the halacha, except for the cases of untithed produce and wine used for a libation, which renders the mixture with their own type of food forbidden in a case where any amount of the forbidden food was mixed with the permitted food. But if they are mixed with another type of substance, the mixture is forbidden only in a case where they impart flavor to it. The Gemara asks, according to the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish, why are untithed produce and wine used for libation treated more stringently than other forbidden foods? Granted, wine used for libation is treated stringently due to the severity of idol worship, but with regard to untithed produce, what is the reason that any amount of it that is mixed with permitted food of its own type renders the mixture forbidden? The Gemara answers, just as it assumes its permitted status, so it assumes its forbidden status. As Shmuel says, even 1 grain of wheat given as teruma exempts the entire heap of grain from the obligation of teruma. Since any amount of teruma given renders the entire heap of produce permitted, any amount of untithed produce also renders the entire mixture forbidden. And this is also taught in a Braita. With regard to what situation did the sages say that any amount of untithed produce renders a mixture forbidden? It is with regard to untithed produce that becomes mixed with its own type, but with regard to untithed produce that becomes mixed with another type, the mixture is forbidden only in a case where the untithed produce imparts flavor to it. And that is the end of Daf 73.